Hello and welcome back for another historic video. Today we're going to be playing this Goblin Charbelcher Oops All Spells deck. Pretty much the only win condition in the deck is playing out Goblin Charbelcher and then doming our opponent in the face for lethal. Almost every other card in the deck is mana or mana acceleration. Most powerful of these effects is the Irencrag feat, 4 mana sorcery, which lets us add 7 red mana, but only allows us to cast 1 additional spell afterwards, which in this case would be the Goblin Charbelcher, as well as having the 3 floating mana to activate it in the same turn. Another interaction that the deck is looking to do is to play out the Charbelcher and then use a Pact of Negation as a protection spell, either to counter your opponent's counter magic or to counter their removal spell. And then we want to set an upkeep stop so that during the following upkeep, when the Pact trigger goes on the stack, we can activate the Charbelcher in response and try and win the game that way. This version of the deck doesn't really have any card selection, so we will be mulliganing until we have the Charbelcher in hand. And since the deck is all mana, even if we go down to a few cards, the hands can usually be competitive anyway, since all of our top decks are likely to be mana. It's a pretty quick combo deck, presenting wins on turns 3 or 4 normally, and is pretty difficult to interact with for most decks since they don't have a ton of artifact interaction. Without further ado, let's jump into the gameplay and see how the deck does. This hand doesn't have Charbelcher. I'll mulligan. This is better. We'll keep this, and then we'll put the Goldhound back. It is the most vulnerable as a creature card. Start on the cliffs. Then here we can play Strike It Rich. Play out a tap land, pass the turn. Light pause means that we're going to want to combo off all in the same turn here, because it can always just tutor up Sheltered by Ghosts. So it's going to be a race to see if we can get up to 7 mana before our opponent can kill us. We do have 7 if our opponent doesn't use Sheltered by Ghosts on the Barbarian, but I find that highly unlikely. Well, they attack in without playing out any more R's. So here we'll just go for it. Play out the Charbelcher. Bolt in a land. Target our opponent. Think we got a bit lucky there, but we'll take the win. We'll take a mulligan here. And there's the Charbelcher. We can keep this. And then it's between keeping 4 lands or 2 lands with the Barbarian. I think we actually will try a more aggressive hand this time. Can start on a tap land here and try and pick one that's a bit ambiguous. Opponent might not think we're on an Oops All Spells deck. Psychic Frog. And another Charbelcher. Not necessarily what we want. We'll bolt ourselves, play out the Barbarian, and then if this survives, we can try and play the Charbelcher next turn. Against the Mirror, don't have high hope though. They're likely to have a lot of removal spells. There is a Fatal Push. So we need to draw into another land now before we can play out a Charbelcher. I imagine this deck also has discard in it. They fetch right away. Not a good sign for us. And they get a swamp. So this will likely take our Pinnacle Monk if it's a Thoughtseize. It's a unearth instead. That's actually pretty good for us. Means our lands no longer cause damage. Opponent preemptively indicated good game, so they may not know what kind of deck we're on. Down to 11. Opponent has 9 damage in play between their draw step if they discarded everything. We only have 1 protection spell here. Do they have a Spell Pierce or another Force? They do not. Consider. Don't expect this deck to have any artifact removal. They might have a bounce spell. They hit for 5. They have to bounce it now on their turn, but it looks like they didn't find it. So we got the victory. This hand is good, we'll keep. Start on a tapped land. Looks like it could be wizards again. And it is. We have a fairly fast hand with the Irencrag. However, all of our lands are tapped, so this will be a turn 4 play, which we may not survive through. And here we don't have any distractions, so it really comes down to whether our opponent can deal 16 damage or not. And it looks like they don't have it. So now it comes down to whether they have Force of Negation and a pitch card in hand. That resolved pretty quickly. And that should be lethal. Good game.